There, we're
Okay.
good.
Hi, everybody. Marie has asked me to facilitate the meeting today, since she's not here in person, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m.
Okay,
We'll start with roll call.
all right. Chair Marie Hotta,
Here.
thanks. Vice Chair Gina Oberding,
Present.
Maggie Burns,
Here.
Edie Hughes,
Here.
Dina Phelps.
Here.
Thanks, Dina. City Council Liaison Chelsea Noonenkamp. We have Englewood School Liaison Devon Williams. And we have guest Leigh Bertman. And staff, we have Director Christina Underhill
Yeah.
and Library and Cultural Arts Manager Bethany Lafferty. And Corinne,
Bertman will be joining us
okay,
to talk about something later in the agenda.
okay. And I say cultural arts all the time with you in this meeting, cultural manager. All right, we are all set.
Sounds good. Okay, thanks for being here. Approval of the minutes. Did everyone get a chance to look at those? Are there any edits that are needed?
Anybody need packet?
I'll take a package.
Yeah.
sure. Thank you. Yeah, I would probably do that. But I do like one. These are really nice. Came prepared. So, do we have any changes that are needed to the minutes from April? Last month, we did not have a quorum, so we don't have any minutes from May.
I move to approve the April minutes.
Second. I'll second. And all in favor of approving the April minutes? Say aye.
Hi. Hi.
Oh, aye, yeah. Sure. I appreciate your thorough review. Yes, great. The minutes from April are approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Super. Well, recognition of public comment. We do have Leah Bertman here to talk about the Friends of the Public Library. So Leah.
Just leave.
Wait,
Just up.
Yep. Yeah.
So you can be on.
So some of you may already know me. I was here not too long ago soliciting funds from the library board for the author festival. Since then, a lot has changed and I have left my position as library associate. However, I am still very eager to continue being involved with the Englewood Public Library, and as a part of that, I was very intrigued and excited to hear about, as a part of the future strategic plan, possibly a Friends of the Library be formed. And because of that, I've decided to go ahead and get the ball rolling a little bit. Spoke with Beth and Christina and other people within the library, sort of to discuss what the possibilities are, what that could look like. At this point, I'm just sort of giving you some sort of broad strokes of where we are right now, because it's extremely early days. Right now, we're just doing research in terms of how Friends of Libraries function within municipal governments, not within, but with municipal governments. You know, they're a separate nonprofit, but they still have to work with this particular entity, as opposed to some libraries where they're whole districts, they're a world apart from the local government. So right now I'm looking at that. I'm speaking with other local municipal libraries. Westminster has gotten back to me. I just heard today back from Bemis Library, which I'm very excited about. And then also the Louisville Library.
Where's Bemis? I'm sorry.
Bemis is a Littleton Library.
Littleton, okay.
Yeah. And in fact, their friends group is both with the library and the museum. So they're sort of in a unique position. So I'm curious to see how they work. I imagine because it's both together, they probably have larger funds and broader strokes in terms of what they provide. Nonetheless, it'd be interesting to see what their take is on that. As well, as a part of the research, I'm looking into how a friends group could collaborate with the library? What could they provide? The obvious one is fundraising, assistance with grant writing, and advocacy. Those are the big ones. But most importantly right now is we're going to use it as the strategic plan as a guide to what a potential friends group could do. So whatever the strategic plan says, this is our mission, these are our values, these are our goals for the next 3 to 5 years. That's what a friends group would use as their template going forward in terms of fundraising, advocacy, and grant writing. And as a part of that, also establishing a volunteer group. We have had some interest from some of our volunteers that are already working here or volunteering here at the library, 2 individuals in particular. So I'm really excited to reach out to them. Well, I've already reached out to them. So I'll keep plugging away at that. But you may also be curious whether or not Andy, a former board member, is interested. He is interested in being involved, so that's kind of exciting. Maybe he'll continue to be involved in that capacity. He can't really do anything right now because of some family stuff going on, but just know that he's a resource we're hoping to tap into. At this point, that's all I can kind of offer. Does anybody have any questions for me in terms of that?
I'll add, your email was excellent, by the way.
Okay.
But we did have a friends group here.
Yes.
Previously, it only lasted about 3 years, from August of 1995 to June of 1998. So we were hoping to use some of that previous information, but my thoughts are there probably isn't much. Being it was only 3 years, established friend groups that have been around for 20+ years, obviously have history. So we will be kind of starting from the beginning of forming this, but thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of a slow roll.
Mhm.
Obviously, not gonna be establishing anything until a strategic plan's in place, and then we go from there. But really, you have to find people who are interested. At this point, I want to kind of ask anyone here, if you know of anybody, I will share my information with Debbie and as well as shoot you all a quick email. Maybe if you know of anybody who might be interested in participating in a friends group, literally anyone at this point. Just someone who's got energy and an interest in it is great. If they have any particular skills involved, like they've done any marketing, fundraising, any work with other nonprofits, that would be great, but literally anyone right now. So I would want to plug for them.
I'm taking back to my board.
That would be great. Yes, thank you.
Would be helpful also to look at previous members of this board. Some have rolled off because they had family commitments or, they were termed out or different things, but there might be some people who wouldn't want to have the commitment of this board, but might be able to offer if that.
Do you mind me asking? I don't know where I can find that information.
I can help you.
Debbie, yay! Okay.
Christina. Oh.
Go ahead,
Christina,
Dina.
you referenced in, oh, no, it's Marie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi. Christina referenced an email. Is that something that could be forwarded to the rest of the board as well?
Oh, yeah. Do you mind us sharing that? Yeah. Leigh sent Beth and I an email on Wednesday. Today's Thursday. And so, yeah, we can forward that out to you. I'll send it to Debbie and she can send it out to you guys. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's good
Thank you,
information.
Leigh.
Yeah.
Appreciate your work.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you at least spoke with Christina
Oh, yeah.
and Beth, obviously. I have been looking into this myself because I was like, what is a friends group versus a foundation?
Yes.
And those are 2 separate things, as I've learned. And so I'm just wanting to educate myself on this. And I don't know if you have some resources that may be useful for the rest of us to educate ourselves on what is a friends group? What benefit would this have for Englewood Library? What benefit would this have for Englewood as a whole in our community? So that as the strategic plan comes out, we can be thoughtful in saying, well, how does this work? How does this work with other initiatives, efforts, et cetera? I'm happy to share what I've learned too. I mean, I found a few things just because we've been talking about this, I feel like at least a year. And I like where it could go in collaboration with whatever is the result of the strategic plan, for sure. So, thank you for bringing this to us and spearheading some efforts and continuing to be involved in this work, even though you stepped away for all years.
No, I'm personally very invested in this.
Yeah.
I can, as well as the email that you'll receive, I can also send to Debbie, to send out to all of you, the ALA guidance on what is a friends group, how to form it, what do the bylaws look like, what is a memorandum of agreement between the library and a friends group. They have tons of information that is kind of the jumping off point. And in terms of what that looks like, also the Westminster Library was generous enough to provide their bylaws, some basic information. I'll get that also hopefully from Enos. But all of that would be really good information going forward as to what we want this to look like.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd like,
Okay.
yeah, I think it would be great to have some regular updates too, is, again. Thank you. So, any other questions about that from anyone? Yeah, well, thank you, Leigh. Appreciate it. Moving along on our agenda, we will just go through our reports, and so that the statistical report. Anything, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I know it's so tiny, I don't know how to ever make it bigger, but just, things I just want to point out, days of service, it's only 29. We actually had 2 days closed, May 10th for a staff in service day and May 27th for Memorial Day. We did also close early on May 22nd due to just low staffing. We fell below that minimum staffing guideline that we established late last year. And I think I was trying to find the other dates, but I didn't do a really good job of reporting it, but I think we had one date in April also that we may have closed early, but I don't know exactly what date. So, so that's, is impacting us from time to time. You'll notice that there's a yellow mark for page views on the catalog. I'm just not able to consistently get a report with how many visits to the online catalog we're getting. So if I'm able to backtrack with Barmit to get that next month, I'll make sure that it gets added in the May column, and so that the year-to-date would be accurate for June. Questions that we had, again, it's almost always predominantly adults, so there's 2,500 for adult, 62 for kids, 15 for teen. Top categories, top 15% included questions about accounts, supplies, restroom. Oh no, room reservations, sorry, I transposed them. Room reservations, general directions, and copier printer help. Volunteer hours in May, we had 106.5 volunteer hours. That included 14 volunteers, and adult volunteers and 12 teens. We actually have closed the open application for adult volunteers at this time, because we just don't have enough tasks to spread beyond the 14 people we have. I think we might be losing one person maybe later this year because they're going to be going abroad. And so I think Hannah does kind of have a wait list of some applicants. So that's pretty good. A quick update on, well, actually, I'll do it after. I don't know. I guess I don't know if anybody has any questions about programming. One of the outreach events we did for adults that included our first visit to one of the city neighborhood night events on May 30th. So there's about 100 people that our staff interacted with at that event. So that's the first of 6 neighborhood nights that will be present at. And then summer reading, May signups for adult summer reading totaled 63. To date, there's 139 registered people in the adult summer reading program. For the children's program, as of this past Sunday, There are 515 total registered participants, 26 babies, 413 children, and 76 teens. 33% of those total are Englewood public school students. And 21 kids and teens have already completed the first round of completion of the reading program. Really has a ton of stuff, but I'm not gonna go over all of it. I guess some highlights are like they're continuing to do preschool outreaches during the summer, which is great. And then another, it hasn't really been an outreach, but it's been a collaboration that Kimberly has established with HumanX Academy. It is a private school for children with autism, and I think it goes from like 3 to 22. And it's here in Englewood, and she was having them come to the library for actual visits. So it wasn't exactly outreach because they were coming to us. But a new thing that we just established with that group is that they are utilizing a school access to our Overdrive collection. So we just set that up for them. So they now have a direct access from like their school computers for their students to access our materials in the Libby collection. And it's called Sora. I think we've talked about it previously because we're trying to set it up with the public schools. But it gives them kind of a curated collection of youth and teen titles specifically. So they just got that access set up. I feel like maybe it was Tuesday. So that's kind of exciting. That's summer reading. The last item I want to point out on the statistical report is the revenues deposited for May. It was just over $2,000. $1,500 in May, and to date, it's I think 1,950. Comes from a memorial donation in memory of a young girl named Anna Roby, who doesn't live in Englewood anymore, but her grandmother lives here, and as a younger child used to come visit the library frequently. And she sadly passed away in May at the age of 8. No, that's funny. Try not to. But in lieu of flowers in her obituary, they listed several of her kind of favorite places for donations in the library. So we received $1,950 in her memory.
Wow.
So the plan is that Carrie Watson and Kimberly Powers will be working together with the grandmother to set up some collections in her memory. And so we'll be purchasing children's materials that will all have like a special kind of like nameplate that says it in memory of Anna Roby. Yeah. So that'll probably be some either individual books or science themed story time bins or some of the enrichment bins that we're putting together. So that's what the fund will go towards. And then each, if it's like a kit, on the kit, it'll have a little nameplate thing in her memory.
I wonder if on behalf of the board, if we could provide like give a card or something of thank you. In sympathy, kind of, but more joyful than sympathy card, just on behalf of the board. If that's something that, I think that's something we can do, right? Yeah. I'm happy just to pick up a
And I
card.
think that Carrie has the contact information for the grandmother who does still live here.
Yeah, that's really,
Yeah,
what a thoughtful child, so.
I will follow up and find out.
Yeah, but I'm fine, I'm happy to get a card and maybe next month we could just sign it or sign it on behalf of the board or whatever.
Let me see what I've got already.
Oh,
Do you mean like a card that
like Hallmark card kind of thing.
kind of like in appreciation or thank you or
Yeah,
Or you
like a
want, like,
sunshine card, like a bright, something like,
not so much sympathy,
but
but
maybe like a celebration of life kind of, or I guess is what I would be.
yeah.
Celebrate that child. Wow. It's generous.
Yeah.
So is the rest of the revenue probably from our book sales?
Yeah, so for May, I went through it and $1,500 of that 2,094 was for the donations. And then, or the specific, and that might even include other random donations, I don't know, because that's how much was donations for the total. But the rest of it is book sale and meeting room fees and like the copy printer fees. Yeah, we've actually been doing a lot of meeting room rentals lately, which is great. So that's it, unless anybody has any questions about the statistics.
Thank you, Beth. We can move on to the action plan.
Okay, so update for adult services, in May, they held their first, or no, I guess April was the first tech assist at Malley. And in May, the adult services staff coordinated with, staff at Malley to hold monthly tech assists beginning in June, so that's all set up. And then the seed library kicked off officially. There was approximately 500 packets of seeds picked up by residents. And the seed library will come down at some point during the summer months and then will be kind of reintroduced in the fall for taking donations of seeds from people as they harvest them from their gardens. And then library associate Regina Scove established a partnership a few months ago. I don't know that I had ever shared this with Einstein Brothers Bagels over on Hampton. They donate end of day bagels at 2 p.m. on Sundays. And so we bring those back to the library and bag them up in individual like sandwich bags. And I believe it's usually 2 bagels per bag. And then we have those as part of our pantry. And then the bagels are actually picked up every Sunday by one of our other library associates, Michael McNeil. So he goes over there every Sunday and brings them back and then just don't have to be great. That's a good new partnership that we've made with them. For children and teens, in May, their regularly scheduled programs were kind of reduced to pretty much just story times and teen hangouts as they prepared for summer reading. Kimberly visited 15 elementary school classrooms to promote the summer reading program, and Children's Library Associate Melissa Florisco visited 10 middle school classrooms. And then Kimberly and Children's Associate Susie Russell have completed ordering all the new books and activities and manipulatives for the refresh storytime bins. So right now they're just working on itemizing the things for each bin and then getting that over to technical services for cataloging and assigning barcode numbers and getting all that stuff inputted into the catalog, which will then allow them to be put into the Kit Keeper for management through the Kit Keeper for checkout. So they're working on that through the summer as they're able, in addition to the summer reading program. So summer is always a really busy time for the children's team. But that should be ready to go by the fall. And there's 18 bins will be available at that time. And all of the refresh of these bins was funded by the Colorado State Library grant. They've also been, the children's team has also developed some small collections of materials for people to just take at 3 different community locations. There's one at Craig Hospital, Movement 5280, and then a local laundromat where they just bring over either discarded library materials or some of the children's items that get donated. So we kind of divvy up some stuff from the donations to go to these collections and some of them to go in the book sale. And so far they've taken out 107 items distributed among those 3 locations. For circulation and patron experience, one thing I want to just mention to backtrack to April, I guess I would have talked about this last week, but I don't know. So this was the promotional flyer that got made. If you guys want to take one and pass them around. So I should have brought an old one for comparison. So we updated this just kind of wrapped card that has the library's address, phone number, website, our hours, our social media, and then in the back just kind of promos the different types of services that are available. The QR code is a link to our online registration. So this is one of the things we've been taking to the outreach events. And really using these to encourage people to check out the library's programs and services and register for a card if they haven't. So that we can give them something tangible that summarizes the library. If they don't have time to stick around and chat or do registration, at the event or something like that. So these are all around the library. I think Harry has been working to get them distributed at upstairs near the hub and at the rec center and alley. I don't know if she's actually on that part yet, but. So yeah, just, trying to refresh our look and, that out into the community. So that's something that got finished actually in April.
Just a question about, and I don't know if this makes sense or not. Put in those 3 new community boxes, Craig Hospital movement.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
I mean, just Craig Hospital, I know people aren't there endlessly, but, people are looking for other things to do.
Yeah.
Their loved ones.
And it might have that there too, now that I think about it, because I know that Carrie and Kimberly have talked with people, and I don't know if you have, Corinne, because we do have the ability to set up kind of non-resident, I don't even know what we call it, but it's basically intended for people who are long-term at Craig and their family is out here too. So we do have a designation, library card for people who are not Englewood residents, but are, staying for an extended period of time in Englewood because they have a patient at Craig. So we do have that available. And I feel like that information might be at their little display at Craig, but that's a good point for me to follow up and make sure that that stuff is there. Okay. So the other update for circulation, the 2025 budget plan is, planning is going on right now, for the city. And so incorporated into the library's, proposed budget is, funding for the Library of Things for 2025. So that we can have a set budget for those materials so that we can replace them, grow the collections, and really maintain it. We did have a resident apply for a sustainability grant. Is that what it was called? Like a resident sustainability grant to bring induction burners, yeah.
In our library of things.
Yeah.
To try and help with possibly encouraging some folks to convert to induction.
Yeah.
The saves.
Yeah, so it's like a small, I don't know how big the grant is it like $1,000? Okay.
But it's gonna get us. It's.
Yeah.
Something.
So that's another way, so that's great that we had a community member that was interested in, coming up with something that could be useful to the community. Has even offered to kind of instruct on its use, so that gives us some built-in programming to offer around the Library of Things as well.
What is it exactly?
The induction burner,
Yeah.
explains it, I don't really know.
It's a contribution to the library.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so induction burn, do you know what those are, induction cooking?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, these are like little hot plate sized induction burners. And what we will do is provide a pot and a skillet and the induction burner. And we will be letting people check them out so that they can use them at their home and kind of test it. Also, the gentleman that who did this grant is a chef, so he's gonna be doing some demonstrations with staff and with the
I know.
he'll be doing, and with the public as well. Because it's really just, you cook on it, but the cool thing about induction is, you can one temperature and then the safety thing, if you just pull the thing off, there's pretty much no heat coming off that blade. So
Right.
there's a lot of different ways to sell it. So he's very excited and he got us very excited. So we talked him to it. Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm really, hopeful and positive about our budget planning for continuing to maintain and grow the library of things. Additionally, as part of kind of our effort to increase library card holders, in May, like I said before, we went to the first neighborhood night at Emerson Park, and that's the first of 6 that the library will have a planned table at, so. That's where we debuted the rack cards. We got them 2 days before that. Library operations update. So the evaluations for the consultant proposals for the library strategic plan were completed during May. And a selection was made, and we are actually still waiting at this point for just final steps of the process for contracting and confirming things through that process. So I don't really have a new update for that. The library has scheduled 2 days per month where the PATH team, which is Project for Assistance in Transition from Homelessness, will be present in the library for 2 hours. The PATH team is a segment of All Health Network. So they've been coming in, I think they're on Wednesdays, right? One time in the morning and one time in the afternoon. So 2 different days, so they're hitting different times and are just here available with people who serve as case management to assist individuals experiencing homelessness who are interested in resources and things like that. And we do still have the housing navigators, just 1 day a week for that, right? But not even every week for the summer.
Twice a month right now.
Yeah.
Because they lost a person. But hopefully once they get hired, I'll be back.
So that's kind of, again, sort of in lieu of trying to have our own social worker, which is just not something that we can provide at this time. We're trying to tap into those other community resources to respond to the needs of our patrons. And the library actually now becomes one of 7 different organizations that the PATH team visits each month. So that's really great. They put out a calendar of where they're going to be every month. We have that printed and available. So like if somebody missed them visiting the library, we can let them know where else they're going to be that month. Let's see. Oh, and then the last bit was just kind of a recap of Christina and I had met with Leigh at the end of May to start some discussions about those groups. So progress on that one. Any questions about the action plan?
From online. You're gonna holler at me, Debbie, if you see anything online, like a handwriting or something. Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. Library board budget, it just says balance 0. If you address that. That's the story.
It's been, at the April meeting, we kind of allocated the remainder of the funds.
Okay. All right, moving on to new business, relocation of book return boxes.
So this was actually a question from Gina. The 2 book return boxes in the circle did prematurely have some signage on it that they were going to be removed. The plan is that eventually they will be, just not yet. So like I said, it was a little premature to put signage out there. We may have to remove one of them sooner rather than later because one of those boxes is really difficult to open. And that's causing some problems if we can't get it open on a day, any materials in it don't get checked in. So we may have that one removed sooner rather than later. But we have been trying to have some discussions with members of the facilities team for relocating those boxes and having at least one of them over in the parking garage area and trying to find a space where we might be able to place it so that it can be a drive-up return. So people can drive up in their vehicles and just drop their stuff in instead of having to get out of their car. But we haven't quite figured out a good place for that yet. So we may just move both of them and add a third out here to the entryway off the parking garage. We have 3 of them back there, and then either discard the 4th or just hang on to it in storage for a little bit. But we do plan to relocate them because the library is not using that doorway that goes into the north lobby. At least we're trying not to, but when we have to go pick up the materials from the bins, the staff does go through there. It does create some confusion and irritation for patrons because they want to go out that way or come in that way when the staff are coming back. So we're trying to adhere to kind of the fact that this is an emergency exit only. There is plans for that emergency exit to truly be alarmed at some point in the future. So the relocating the book returns is like an in progress thing. It's not, we haven't found an official home for them. So I don't know if anybody, if you have questions about that or concerns about relocating them.
Yeah, so I guess, a couple things. I was just curious, one, where they be?
Not a lot. I mean, they get stuff in them, but not a ton.
Okay, and then, so that was one question. The second one was like, what was the impact to the staff to manage those boxes? And then I'm someone that uses them, so, it impacts me. But I also thought that, man, I really like them there because they're super bright and colorful, right? And so it alerts anyone, maybe driving around the circle or whatever, to there's a library return box. I wonder if the library's closed. If they didn't know that the library was here. So I just thought, to me, it was almost like a public awareness, like a visual that said the library's here. But then I thought, well, how are we servicing our community? Well, that's one way, is allowing people an opportunity to drop them off as they drop them to the balance, for example, or the drive up thing is super nice versus kind of going through here, that. So I guess I wondered if I wanted to know more about it because I thought it is a nice service for the community. It is a nice visual for the community. If there would be a way to do a drive-by in which the box was maybe on a more well-traveled or some, by Nixon's Coffee or something that wouldn't cause too much of an inconvenience to the staff. I'm not saying like cause the staff a ton more work. It's not my suggestion, but I don't love the library already being hidden sort of under the parking garage in a way. And then now this is just one more thing that sort of hides the library services. So I don't know, I was just like, don't take away the box.
Yeah, so it's not so much of like, they're gonna be like eliminated. It's the
Yeah.
idea of trying to find a different place that's more accessible for the staff to retrieve items from it. And there are times when there's like, there's a lot of Saturdays where the staff will be like, there was 15 items in all 4 bins.
Yeah, and
So,
you guys need to do what is best for you, what makes sense for
Yeah.
the staff, if volume is a concern, if they're not being used. I'm not saying like accommodate my needs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Well, and that's, I really, that's why I'm still in conversation with facilities, because I really believe in trying to find a spot where we can do a drive up
Yeah.
return.
I love that.
Because I think that's gonna be extremely convenient and helpful to people if they can just drive past and drop their items and not have to get out of the car.
That'd be great.
So because we've talked about trying to figure out, could you put it on the other side, like the inner part of the circle, because that's the driver's side. But how and where could you place it so it wouldn't obstruct traffic too much? Because that's the concern.
I have an idea that I'd like to suggest. How about the island as you're coming into the facility, the island after you turn? Because the parking garage, there's an island before you get to the circle. That would be, I think, the best place to place.
I can't picture that.
The little triangle island?
No. This is before you get to the traffic circle,
Okay,
like in front of the library over here.
yeah,
there's the right-hand turn into the garage, or left-hand turn into the garage. I'm talking about that little hanging island. That would be a suggestion that would make.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing we have to think about is if someone stops at it, is it gonna obstruct any traffic behind? So like, that's really, and that's sort of why I'm working with facilities on like, where could we feasibly place this that wouldn't cause too much issue? A couple of suggestions I've had for the parking garage does take up 2 parking spaces. And so that's not like super, strong idea for some people, because if you have like the box in one spot and then have the other spot adjacent to it is designated for people to pull in, put their stuff out and back out. But I would really like something that's just kind of a drive-by thing, not having to back up and stuff, but. So that's why the signage on the boxes in the front has been removed, because we're not ready to move them yet, because we don't have a landing place for that. So we're just trying to create a little bit more streamlined access for the staff to retrieve the materials. Especially if we get to a point where they can't really go through that door, they're gonna have to go around.
Yeah, well, thank you for keeping an open mind about also serving our community, which I know we do. I want it to be convenient for staff and also serve our community. So, anyway, thank you for the discussion on that.
Yeah, of course.
Old business, so update on standards for decisions regarding library resources, so Senate Bill 216.
Yeah, so, and
Excited.
it was originally also, SB 24-049, that was its original number, but then it kind of got tabled, then it got brought back, that's why it doesn't new number. But basically, this is a new law that requires public libraries, and the original version of it also included schools. But there was a lot of, kind of disagreement back and forth regarding how schools, both public, private, charter, how they would all be properly addressed. And so they dropped out the school part of it and just focused on the public libraries. So it's essentially creating a requirement that all public libraries have a request for reconsideration process. And you may recall that we finalized that policy for this library last summer. I feel like it was last summer, spring maybe. So we do have a process in place. The city attorney's office is currently having their summer intern reviewing various legislation that impacts various city policies, including this policy for the library. So that person will be reviewing the new law, what changes, if any, we might need to make to our policy to ensure that we're including all of the items laid out in the law, or like have statements about some of the items in it. I know one thing that we don't include is a time frame for when like X title is brought forth for reconsideration by person, A. Nobody else can request that to be reconsidered for a period of time. We did not include any language like that in our policy, but there is language included in the law that states a minimum time frame, but leaves it up to the libraries to have it be longer if they wish. So that's an example of just some language that we may need to kind of update so that we're addressing all the different parts of the new law. So that's under review right now. And so I'll be I feel like it's probably pretty likely, and the changes will be minor, but we may have changes to that policy down the road, and that will come back for just an update, review, and just reconfirmation and support from the library board. So I just want to give you an update on that. Again, we haven't had any challenges at this library since I've been here, and nobody that works here has any memory of any formal challenges. So, but it's better to have tools in place and have a process for responding should it come up. I also just want to tack onto this that we will probably have some other policies for review and a vote for support in in June or, no, it's already in July or August. So they're pretty short policies, but we'll probably have all three of them together. It just seems like it will turn out that way. So just want to give a heads up that we will be having some policy review coming up later this summer.
If it's all possible to get those prior to our meeting, I know that
Yes.
you usually do a really good job of that anyway, but just
Yeah.
to allow us an opportunity to look at them.
Right, and that's what we'll do. The reason why I haven't presented them yet is because I'm actually having the policies reviewed by city attorney's office before I bring them here. For probably a minimal amount of, changes, because they will address any weaknesses that might be present in the policies. So once I get all that stuff back from the city attorneys, I'll put it on then whatever the next available agenda is. Questions about that from anyone?
Right? Anyone attend the author festival? Edie and I did. We see a fancy
And I think
basket.
Tina was there too. She's online.
And Dina was there, yes. So, yeah. For those that missed it, I mean, the staff put in a lot of work.
No, you
and
guys already got.
There was a good amount of authors, but Beth, if you want to share with us a little bit more. about-
Corinne's actually gonna do this update. Yep, I wasn't sure if she was gonna be available, but she is, so she's here to give an update.
So we had 20 authors total come. 17 participated in the morning portion, which was our author showcase. We had 20 for the afternoon panels. We did 4 afternoon panels, between 4 and 6 authors each. Spread out. We had about 8 staff members that were working it. We had 8 volunteers or 10 volunteers. We had about 110 people come through total, so about 75 in the morning and 40. That was wonderful. And then the contribution of the library board was the $500. And I just wanted to show you guys the baskets because basically this is where $500 went. Was a copy, at least one copy of one of each of the authors' books. A couple of them, they were series or something like that. So we did 2 or 3 books for some of the authors. This is the children's basket. And you're just really lucky that Doug's wife hasn't picked it up yet. So, but yes, all the other ones have been distributed. There's about 8 to 10 books in there. There is a canvas tote at the Englewood Public Library, which was a thing that we gave to staff last year. 2 of them had water bottles. These have the mugs, and everybody got tickets to the art museum and the Botanic Gardens. Each of these was probably about 100. So, yeah. But yeah. Audie's grumpy. That's the only other thing.
That's what you learned from that.
That's what we learned.
Audie's
Audie is very grumpy, so.
Very
Very grumpy.
But he writes good books.
But he writes
Yeah.
good books, so what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I just have nothing but good things to say about the staff's hard work. Obviously, it was a lot of work, but it was lovely. And I don't know if you guys are thinking about this for next year, if you have any other reflections, I'm sure you do. Always the first time event, you've got reflections. But, I thought it was really neat to provide something like that to our community and kind of learn about Colorado. So I thought it was neat. And fun fact, when I saw one of these guys, like the next day out watering his yard when I was walking the dog, I'm like, I know that guy. Don't know him. I saw him. So anyway, he lives in my neighborhood, which is cool. So connect
that Doug?
community. Yeah.
Oh, tell your story. How you met his wife. Just
Oh, yeah.
tell you that story.
It's actually his author.
Oh, it is?
How he met his wife is in his author.
Oh, it's the best story. It needs to be a Disney movie.
Yes.
And then I noticed, well, doesn't he volunteer at the museum upstairs?
He does,
Yeah.
But we had his table right next to it.
What's that? Okay, anything, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of doing it again, we are gonna do a smaller one in probably October, maybe November. It's gonna have about 10 to 12 authors at it, and it will just be the showcase portion. We might do a little bit of like readings or something scattered throughout it, but for the most part, it's gonna be that. Doing something this scale next year, I think that we would need to raise a little bit more money. And if we don't do that, then we would probably eliminate the food portion of it. That was definitely. I would like to have a little bit more money so that I could have people come and actually do the whole survey. Do it, so. But
what? I'm sorry.
do serving and stuff like actually have a catering company come in. Because that was the biggest strain probably on our staff, was having to figure out whose lunch gets where and what we're doing and everything.
I thought the lunches were lovely.
They were very good, yes.
Were they all donated?
No, they were not donated, but,
Very nice.
I work with Tony's Market quite a bit, and
That's
they do really nice affordable lunches, so.
Very nice.
And they were able to help us with our glutinous vegetarians. So that was very good. So, yes, we had a lot of vegetarian and vegan folks, so trying to find something that was kind of catering to everyone was really good. And it was good. Yeah, they both.
Well, thanks, Corinne.
Yeah.
And yeah, at least for the staff too.
And
put in a lot of extra hours on that, so that was
a lot of work.
Yes. Well, thank you both for coming and helping us out.
Yeah.
So moving
And
on. to
Dina
six
too.
people.
Yep.
And Dina for
Yep.
helping us out. Dina made sure we had coffee, and that was very important.
Yes.
Let Dina tell you the trials and tribulations. So.
I had a very important job with the coffee.
It was. Save the morning.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you. So just kind of moving through the agenda, we've got staff's choice. Staff?
Reminder, July 4th, we have fireworks going on. That's happening in 2 weeks. Yeah, down at Bellevue and Cornerstone Park. So if you want to see fireworks shot above your head, you probably can stay home, but come out to the park.
Great. Anything else?
I just know that the historic Englewood grand opening is this Saturday, between 10 and 2, so.
Ribbon cutting at 11.
What is it?
The ribbon cutting's at 11.
Okay, good, yeah. But we see them a lot on Saturdays.
What is the example?
The historic Englewood, their little museum upstairs.
Okay,
Yep,
yes.
it's, so they've had a soft opening since the beginning of May, but this Saturday is their formal grand opening.
And anything from the school board?
So we're on, obviously summer break right now, so what I've been promoting the last month is the summer reading program. Been that heavy. Other than that, nothing else from the school.
Okay.
Or foreseeable future, because we're on break.
Okay.
So,
Thanks. And anything from council?
One update is that we have recently appointed new reporting commission members. We're past the final resolution, shortly on the different things, and appoint people officially when they actually start on this board. But we appointed 2 new members to the library board. And I'm excited about their addition to this group. One member, has a really strong focus on services the library provides, especially to unhoused, patrons. He has worked in a halfway house. He's very focused on how we create safe, equitable environment in the library. I think his perspective will be really helpful with some of those conversations that this board has. And the other member actually has been on a library board before for Arapahoe County Libraries. So a lot of experience and a lot of ideas about how to support the library. So I think it'll be really good addition. In July, is that right?
I've just gotten like the resolution, but I'm
Okay.
not sure when it goes into effect yet.
So July or August.
Okay.
Great. And anything from the board? Like my say about the boxes.
You have what?
I say about the boxes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right on. All right, anything Marie and Dina online? I don't want to forget about you.
Thank you for holding down the fort, Gina, and running the meeting for me.
Of course,
Appreciate it.
of course. Are you feeling okay?
I am feeling great.
On the upswing, excellent. Okay, well, great.
Thank you.
I will adjourn the meeting. It is 6:56 PM. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the snaps. Okay, we'll go.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.